How are you today? That's lovely. So welcome to today's class, and you asked that we please have a look at the factorization of expressions to the third degree today. So let's get right into it. We will have a look at just the general method of doing so, and then we will look at an actual example, and we'll see if you are able to kind of work it out with me. Is that all right? Right. So when we have expressions to the third degree, such as the following: x to the power 3, or to the third degree, plus a to the power 3, then we have this term, and the second term usually is a constant term without an x, right? Without an unknown. So basically, when we factorize these, we will end up with two brackets. One bracket with two terms in it, and then a second bracket which will have three terms. Right, so we will get an option in this case of either there will be x to the power 3 plus a to the power 3, or there will be x to the power 3 minus a to the power 3. Right, so the signs in this case is important because they have an influence later on when we get to the second bracket. Right, so let's just look at the general method. So for the first one, let's take this one for an example. What we do is, to get to the first bracket, you basically get the cube root of this first term to become the first term in this bracket. So the cube root of x to the power 3 is x to the power 1. Then the sign in this original question here will stay the same in this first bracket, and then we get the cube root again of this term to become the second term in this bracket. Then you close your bracket, and there you have your first bracket. Now you will use this bracket to move on and get the terms for the bigger or the second bracket. Right, so we will then take this term, and now this term becomes squared. So x squared, obviously x squared, or x to the power 2. Then this now is the important thing to remember, that this plus sign will now change, and in this case become a minus sign. So that's important. Then to basically get to the middle term here, we will take this term and multiply it with this term. And this will end up giving us ax. Right, and then to get the final term here, we basically take this second term here, square it, and we will end up with a to the power 2. So that is in general how we would do it. So if we had the opposite sign here, the same procedure, but we just check on the sign. So in this case, for this first bracket, we would have again a minus sign, the same as the original one. But then when we move from this bracket to this one, we will have a change in signs. So this minus sign will then become a plus sign. Right, but then exactly the same procedure as we did with this example. Right, so do you have any questions, Jamie? Are you okay so far? Right, so let's go look at an actual example. So for example, 8x to the power 3 minus 27. Now, what do you think we need to, well, I've already got the answer, but try and work with me. So first thing we need to do is, we need to get the cube roots of each of these two terms in the original question. Right, so 8x to the power 3, we get that cube root, we will get it be 2x, because 8 cube root of 8 is 2, and the cube root of x to the power 3 is x. Right, the same in this instance, and we get the cube root for 27 will be 3. Right, so then we go to getting the first term. So these two will form the first and the second terms in this first bracket. And remember now, minus sign here, so the same sign in this bracket. Then if we move to the second bracket, we basically say we're going to take this term, right, and we are going to square it. Yes, correct. And that will become 2x to the power of 2, which gives you 4x squared. Then the same procedure, this term times this term, right? For the middle term, and we will get 2x times 3, which will give us 6x. And then we will have the last term squared, correct. And then we will end up with 3 to the power of 2, and that will give us 9. And then the important thing here, we had a minus sign here, and that becomes a plus sign in this instance. Right. So that is generally how we will do it. And we can look at some other examples now.